It'll be mostly clear this evening. Temperatures will be falling to around 50 by 10 o'clock. Estate planning is something most people don't like to think about, but the reality is it's something you really need to do, both for you, your family, and yes, your pets.
Yep, the Dane County Humane Society is holding a workshop on planning for your pet's future without you. And Dan Purtell, an attorney with the Wilson Law Group in Madison, which is conducting the workshop, is with us today to tell us more about it.
Welcome.
Nice to see you, Dan.
Nice to see you, Susan.
Well, you know, this is something that makes sense because pets are part of the family, and you want to make sure that your pets, like your children and anyone else, are well taken care of in the event that something happens to you. So is it like a pet will? Is that what you do?
Well, what we can do is we're looking at a couple different issues when we're doing estate planning for pets, whether it be a dog, a cat, a horse. It's disability issues. So what happens if you're no longer able to care for them, but you're still alive? And then in terms of disability at death. So, or I should say estate planning in terms of death. So it's really those two issues in setting up powers of attorney, sometimes setting up trusts, and in terms of death, we might use a will, we might use a trust, but it's really leaving babysitter instructions for the caregivers that you want to have for your pets after you're gone or unable to care for them.
And what happens if you don't do any of this?
Well, that's the issue, is that most people don't realize that the state has pets listed as property. So if you want your animal considered as a piece of property, most people don't want that. They would like to have their pet considered a valuable, loving part of their family to some extent. We're running into a lot more couples that don't have children. They don't want to do planning for their dogs or cats, or even their horses. And so we really want to do proactive planning in that regard.
Can you leave money to your pet? We talked about Leona Helmsley that
right.
was a big national story when she left a sizable fortune to her dog.
Right. You can't do that in Wisconsin. You can leave money in a trust for a pet, and the pet can essentially be the beneficiary, and we can have a trustee appointed and then have a caretaker. So we could have someone making money available for the caretaker that takes care of the pet. But in terms of what a lot of people do is they'll just leave money to a certain individual and say, please take care of the pet. The problem with that is there's no direction, and we don't have any guarantees that the money will be used for the pet. So if we actually have it held in a trust with direction, that gives them a lot more to go on in terms of what to do with that money.
So how specific can you be with this? I mean, I have 2 dogs, and I say, okay.
And it's understood that I get Esty and Lola.
But do I have to say, these dogs go to Susan Simon, and I want to make sure that this happens, and this happens, and that happens?
Absolutely. I mean, you want to have it spelled out very specifically. You know, there's no doubt that if you don't spell it out, it's going to be up to the courts to decide. And for most of us, we want to have the pets not only cared for by the person we want them to be under their care, but certainly having money available. So that's really what I'm going to be talking about, is how to have an estate set up so that money can be made available for pets at time of disability and death, and so that the directions are there.
What does it cost to do something like this?
Well, certainly the issue is going to be what type of plan is it. If we do a very basic plan where we're doing wills, you can start in the couple $100 range, and then it goes up if we're doing more advanced planning with trusts, several $1,000s. But the best thing I can tell you is that the bottom line is it depends. It's like
just like any other estate.
Absolutely,
right,
absolutely.
Right. But we have a verbal understanding that I get Esty and Lola, and you are all my witnesses.
You just want the cash. A sizable estate.
Oh yes, right.
Good luck
Dan,
with that.
thank you very much. Very
Absolutely.
interesting.
You betcha.
The workshops are going to be held Wednesday, May 20th.